the skills and startup capital of the world. What kind of fiscal and regulatory improvement is required to make the Skill India mission more effective? What role can the private sector play in creating an adequate, viable, and sustainable training sector? How can India create a suitable environment for skilled people to take up entrepreneurship and create more jobs? How can skill development be used to reduce urban poverty and improve the standards of human development in India? Ladies and gentlemen, it promises to be a very, very interesting session. We are expecting not one but two ministers to join us for this session. So may I once again request you, please kindly remain seated. Please remain seated. Development and Entrepreneurship and Minister of State of Parliamentary Affairs, Mr. Rajiv Pratap Rudy, and the Honorable Minister of State of Urban Development, Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation, Government of India, Mr. Babul Supriyo, to join us for this concluding session. However, there is a slight delay in both the ministers' arrival. We shall be getting an update within the next 5 to 7 minutes from the Honorable Minister's offices as to the timing of their arrival. Kindly remain seated. We are expecting both of them to join us for this session. Meanwhile, I'll once again request all of you, please remain seated and kindly stay in the hall for this very, very important concluding session.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Both the honorable ministers are held up in Parliament. There is something happening there when they can't leave. So they've asked us to wait, but we just think that 45 minutes is a long enough wait. So we are going ahead with the conclusion of this program. What we will do in this session, and what was also proposed, is that there is going to be an exchange of an understanding between the National Skills Development Corporation and AIMA to do something. And Dilip, where is Dilip? Ah, there. Dilip is here on behalf of, he's the chairman of the National Skills Development Corporation. And he's going to introduce the subject. He's going to talk about it, and then between Mr. Nerurkar, the president of AIMA, and Dilip, there will be an exchange of letters. Thank you very much for being with us, and my apologies on behalf of both the ministers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goenka. Mr. Sanjiv Goenka, Mr. Sunil Munjal, Mr. Nerurkar, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure being here, and of course I can't at all substitute for the minister, but I wanted to we were doing something very different and innovative here today. There's a new leadership role for industry, and this is really to lead and support skill development efforts in the country. Actually, it's surprising because all the three gentlemen on the dais have got something to do with skill development and are leading efforts in this area. Mr. Sunil Munjal actually has a small company called Hero Mind, which does that. Mr. Goenka has an electricity training institution and a management development institute. And Mr. Nerurkar, other than his training, also chairs a sector skill council the mining sector skill council here. So I'm very fortunate to be here. And the challenge really was that industry and employers had very little or nothing at all to do with skill development or have a role in setting standards. So you had the academic institutions and others setting standards, and industry had no role. They also had no role in assessing the people who came out of the system, so the HR managers and leaders, such as you, had very little idea of what the outcome of the education and training system was there. The new government and the previous government, the new government under the leadership of the Prime Minister and Minister Rudy, have put their faith in the private sector leadership on this activity through what are known as sector skill councils. You know, the easiest way to explain to you the role of a sector skill council would be to say that it does the same kind of work like the Institute of Chartered Accountants or the Institute of Company Secretaries or the Institute of Cost and Work Accountants. You know, you don't get such degrees and qualifications from universities and from other institutions. You get it through these institutions itself. So for each of the sectors, we are actually trying to do this. Minister Rudy has been actually meeting the sector skill councils, and NSDC over the last 3 years has set up 37 sector skill councils. And we are also looking at creating sector skill councils where none exist. One such area is the area of management and entrepreneurship. And obviously, as all of you would agree, this falls squarely in the domain of AIMA. Really happy to announce that the proposal that was submitted by AIMA for setting up a sector skill council for management and entrepreneurship. So they will be setting standards and relating to the outcome of students who are coming out of the management stream and what education should be given in the entrepreneurship space. Has been approved by a committee of NSDC and the National Skills Qualification Committee. Going forward, we hope that AIMA members would support this by hiring people who are certified not only with the Management and Entrepreneurship Sector Skill Council, but also other sector skill councils. Sector skill councils are bodies that are industry-led, industry-managed, and industry-supported with academic and other people in their constitution. And they map the career pathways in different industry sectors or different job roles and come out with qualification packs, which are nothing that what you'd actually use in an advertisement to advertise for that post, and ensure that the curriculum that is set by the training institution or by different institutions matches the outcomes expected in the qualification pack, and also gets their own membership to actually go and certify and assess these people coming out. So it's really a huge onerous responsibility on AIMA, and I thank, first of all, AIMA, the president of AIMA, and Rekha, who have actually led this process. It's been a pretty long process and many iterations, but I think we needed to be sure that this is actually going to go forward. So thank you for this opportunity to exchange this letter in front of the leadership of AIMA and on the stage and in the audience. But with that, I think the responsibility of ensuring that the outcomes in the management, training, education space, and the entrepreneurship space actually moves from NSDC to AIMA and the AIMA leadership. So I look forward to supporting you and to working with you to ensure that the type of people that you need in your companies is what the type of people that are coming out of the training institutions going forward. One last point is that these 37 sector skill councils range from areas such as automotive, steel, mining, banking and financial services, paints, etc. So if you're from any of those industries and you're not aware of a sector skill council, please get involved, because they are setting standards for people coming out of the education and training system, which is going to impact you as going forward. There has been a notification, the minister would have spoken about it. There's been a notification which is issued on the 27th of December 2013, which mandates that 3 years from 2013, no public funding will be available for any programs that are not aligned to the standards set by the Sector Skill Council or under the certification of the NSQF. And after 2015, after 5 years of 2013, that is 2018, no program will be allowed to be run in the country which does not align with the NSQF. and private sector and government will have to advertise roles according to NSQF job levels. So if we believe that this is not going to impact us in any manner, we've got to think again. And this is an opportunity for all of us to lead in this room, because if we don't lead and if we don't support and execute, then we'll go back into the old way of doing business. So this is all about leadership. This is all about taking policy into action and execution, and this is the first step towards that happening. So thank you again very much for having me here.
May I request Mr. H.M. Nerurkar, President AIMA and Chairman TRL Krosaki Refractories Limited, who in addition to his role at AIMA also chairs the Mining Sector Skill Council, Mr. Sanjiv Goenka, Mr. Sunil Kant Munjal, all of you to please take center stage. And I take the pleasure of inviting Director General AIMA, Ms. Rekha Sethi, onto the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, she's now receiving the approval letter. That is Ms. Rekha Sethi, Director General AIMA, receiving it in the august presence of Mr. Nerurkar, Mr. Sanjiv Goenka, Mr. Sunil Kant Munjal.
Hemant, Sanjiv, friends, ladies and gentlemen. This has been an interesting day and a half when the subject in some manner which affects all of us in our everyday lives was discussed from different perspectives. And this is a subject we don't often discuss. We talk about many different parts of our lives, of our business, of what we do as economic activities. But it's not often that you sit down together and say, what is it that we desire? What is it that we need, which will make our leadership perform better, become more visible in its ability to lead? And as I said yesterday at the opening, it is not just about governments. It's also not just about the head of a corporation. It is in every individual role that each one of us plays as a leader of his or her domain. Whether it's a department or it's a division or it's a desk or it's two people or it's one person themselves, which needs to ensure that you put in place a vision going forward. What is it that you want to get to? Where is it you're going? And then focus not just on the destination, but also on the journey itself. And we heard this from a very large number of very eminent speakers, both from government, industry, think tanks. We had a series of speakers here. And it was interesting that each one seemed to approach this issue from a different angle. And the Q&A sessions made this more interactive and really brought the audience into the discussion itself. So Sanjiv, thank you very much for leading this initiative and setting this conference up. I think it was a pretty successful effort, or the feedback that at least one heard from people was quite encouraging. And Hemant, thank you for your initiative in pushing AIMA to constantly look at new horizons. As Sanjiv said, we had two ministers coming in for this session, who one involved with skills in entrepreneurship, and the other one involved with urban poverty alleviation. Both absolutely critical subjects, but because of what's going on in Parliament, they've both been held up. But that really would have been the icing on the cake. But we did have 2 days of deliberations, which actually, I'm told, have given us plenty of food for thought to go back and see how we can apply some of this in our own lives and our businesses, and also what that allows us to do with what's available to us, the tools available to us. So thank you all for being here for these 2 days, for patiently sitting in, listening, and playing your part in this. This has been supported by a large number of sponsors and supporters, so I'd like to thank them as well, and the media, which has been supportive of this initiative. And I understand lunch is on now. So thank you all very much. Enjoy the lunch. Thank you.